What's going on, everybody? Travis Stephenson here, and in this video, I'm going to explain my amazing six-figure campaign secrets for how you can use Messenger to get more people to attend your webinars and to buy your products from your webinars. You don't want to miss this one. Okay, so today I'm going to enlist the help of my iPad, so you guys will probably see it up here, and I'm going to actually run through first how I set this up, because I get questions all the time in email and here on YouTube. Travis, how do you go about setting up a campaign that uses Messenger for webinars? It's probably the thing that I've had the most success doing. So I want to explain why it's so successful. And I can guarantee you this right now. Messenger, if you use it the right way, will have the highest ROI of any campaign type that you run. And you'll see why that happens here on the iPad. So I'm going to go ahead and you'll probably still see me here, which is weird, but we are going to hop in. I'm going to draw this whole thing out so that you guys can actually see how this works. So first thing that you need to know is, obviously, when you're running a Messenger campaign, it's still going to show up on the Facebook news feed, right? So you're going to go into your ads manager, you're going to select messages, and it's going to be clicks to Messenger. That's the kind of ad that we're running. You'll see how this whole thing flows here in just a second. So we've got our ad, right? Our ad is going to be very similar to what you would run if you were running them to a landing page. Messenger, in a lot of ways, is replacing the landing page. We don't need a landing page at this point. In fact, most of the ads that I run, all the ads that I run where I use Messenger, I don't ever have a landing page. I might redirect them to a thank you page. We'll talk about that here in a second. So you have an ad. That ad actually pushes them into Messenger. And I'm going to put Messenger L. And the reason I put Messenger L is like Messenger Lite. At this point, you don't have a subscriber. Okay? When it sends them into Messenger, it basically that's like showing them the landing page, right? At that point, you don't have a subscriber. You don't have any information about them. Facebook doesn't just give you that when you send them into Messenger. Now, what happens is, this is the way that we run it, is you'll have a quick reply at the bottom of what they call their custom template. Now, this quick reply is an assumed response. So this is how it might go. Your ad might say, hey, click below or click down here to get access to this training, right? When they click, it opens in Messenger, and you have a message there presented by Facebook, basically, that says, hey, now all you've got to do is click register below. This is a bad example. This wouldn't get a ton of opt-ins, but you get the gist. So that quick reply sends information over to your bot, right? So your bot sequence, in this case, Chatmatic. Okay. When that quick reply is triggered, let's say it says register. Let's say it says, let's do this. Let's say it says free, PDF, whatever it is that you're using to incentivize them to attend. That's usually the word that we want, something positive affirmation wise. So it triggers the bot, and the bot then triggers a longer sequence, right? So this is the beginning of your bot sequence. Now, I don't want you guys to overthink this. This is not complicated. This is what you would say if you were having a conversation with somebody. Big mistakes that people make, that I see people making all the time, are that sequence is just like a freaking vomit of a bunch of text. And that's like the worst thing possible. That is not a real conversation. And one of the best suggestions that I can make to anybody looking to run a webinar sequence or any sequence into Messenger is remember what it's like to have a real conversation with somebody that you just met. Okay? Nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to just sit there and listen to you talk when you first meet them. And that's how it is here in Messenger as well. So that sequence is kind of a back and forth, with pre-installed answers. So a great example would be one of the sequences that we run. It says, hey, awesome, you're officially one step away from getting yada, 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 right? Whatever it is that you're promoting on your webinar. 5 tips to this, or 3 steps to whatever. The very first step, and the only thing that we need from you right now or whatever, is your email address. Okay, so with Messenger, we can pre-populate their email address. So the first step of your sequence will most likely ask them for their email address. Now, in Chatmatic, again, if they type a different email address, it'll still continue your bot sequence, so you're good. Now, at that point, when you collect the email address, you have everything that you need in order to register them for a webinar. So this is where things can kind of go the way that I just described them, or you might go reverse. If you are using an Ever webinar or some sort of auto webinar, you're going to want to ask them what time they want to attend. Do they want to attend today or tomorrow? What time is best for them today or tomorrow? Then you need to actually create what we use is Integromat. You need to create an Integromat to register them for the time that they select. It's actually not terribly complicated. Maybe someday I'll do another video. Comment below, let me know if you want to see the full Integromat setup for this. But you'll be using Integromat or Zapier or something to get the information from Messenger over to your webinar platform. And while doing that, we can also send that information over to our autoresponder. We can also ask them for text messaging, the mobile numbers. So let's just first focus on the actual sequence, right? If I was running to an auto webinar, the first thing that I would do is I would ask them, do they want to attend today or tomorrow? Or I might say, what time works best for you? The same you would on a landing page. When you get that information, I want you to realize at this point, you now have their first name, their last name, and what time they want to attend. That's actually a pretty good start. The only thing we need now is their email address in order to actually register them for this event. So the next question would be, all right, great, 3 p.m., you're locked in. All I need is your email address in order to officially register you. I'll get you a sign-in URL, whatever. That's in and of itself, that is your incentive. That is your flow inside of Messenger. It only has to be, and this is from my reference here, my sequences are typically 3 to 5 steps, maybe 7 at max. You don't want to do a bunch of like crazy stuff. So basically, you've got the sequence, and what we're doing is we're collecting data about people, right? So we're going to collect the time they want to attend. Oh, I think, there we go. We want to collect the time. We want to collect their email, and I like to collect their phone number for SMS, because one thing that I think a lot of people are forgetting about when it comes to Messenger, and everybody wants to promote that Messenger broadcasting is better than emails. Yes, open rates are better in Messenger than they are in email, and the downside with that is you can't send messages every single day like you could send emails. Let's not even compare email to Messenger. Please let it go, drop it. Remember that Messenger is conversation. Email is not. Email is one-way outbound, marketing, broadcasting. Messenger is intended to be conversation. So all of you gurus out there who are sending broadcasts and you think that it's just going to last forever, well, as of this video, Facebook is already about to remove your ability to send broadcasts to anybody who hasn't been active in your bot for more than 24 hours. So you're going to have to use sponsored messages, which we'll get to here in a second. But broadcasting is not where it's at here in Messenger. Communication is. The back and forth is. The relationship building is where it's at. You want people to like you, not to hear you, right? I guess it's the old adage of like, they heard me, but they didn't listen. That's kind of how it goes in Messenger right now. So you can definitely get people to hear you, but they're not going to listen because you're just making noise. So again, we're collecting information, time, email, phone. Now we can save all of this to their profile. So in the future, let's say that we have a new webinar. In the future, we run an ad that says, hey, Tom, would you like to register for our new webinar? And if he clicks yes, you can send all of his data over to the webinar platform, and now you've got a new webinar registrant, right? They didn't even have to type or reconfirm their email because you've already got it. That's what makes Messenger so freaking powerful. But that's just the first step. So now you get somebody to actually register. One of the things that I do is I actually send them over to a thank you page, which has my pixels on it. This is important because not everybody's going to make it to that thank you page, but I usually try to incentivize people who opt in to go to the thank you page to get like a free gift or some sort of a download. And the reason that I do that is because that will fire my pixels. That builds my pixel audience for retargeting efforts in the future, right? I can also, that allows me to run conversion objectives on Facebook and on, you can't run Messenger sequences through YouTube, but I can run conversion sequences, and I'm tracking more data. It's just better to do it this way. So now I've got all the information I need from them out of Messenger. I send them over to a thank you page. My pixel fires. We're all good to go. Now, there's a couple of things that you can do to take this and put it on steroids. good steroids. In the sequence, you can actually run a little video. That video can have a little button underneath it that says share. And then underneath that button, you would have a link that says register for the event, right? The point of that video is to say, look, bring a study buddy. Click the share button below, and it'll open a list of all of their friends on Messenger. They can click share, and it'll directly share whatever video you sent the first person. It'll directly share that entire video and both links underneath it to one friend. So now you tell them, hey, in order to make sure that you get the most out of this webinar, bring a study buddy. Share this video with somebody that you know who wants this information. Now you'll both come. It actually does help attendance rate slightly, because not everybody obviously is going to share that video. Now, again, everybody's like, well, Travis, why don't we do some kind of cool, crazy messenger reminders? It's actually the number one thing I get asked for on webinars is, why aren't you doing messenger reminders? And yes, while I love those, I just don't think that that's the best use of Messenger, is to treat it like, hey, we're going live, mostly because the webinar platforms don't give you a link that you can send each individual user. Now, if we can ever automate with all these webinar platforms or integrate with them, then yeah, you'll be able to pull that live registration webinar out. Maybe then it's worth sending a reminder. But for now, I actually get their phone number, and here's what we do, right? So now the sequence is basically done. Behind the scenes, we take their email address and we get it to the webinar platform. And so now they're actually registered. At the same time, we also put them in our autoresponder, okay? Now, at the same time, we're also storing that data in Chatmatic. So it's always going to be listed on their profile, which means we get to use it again in the future, right? So right away, we've got their email in the places that we really want it, all via automations, and it's all done instantly as soon as they give it to us. Now they're registered for the webinar, and we're good. And just in that, this is a great way to be able to advance your webinars, to be able to get more people to sign up for webinars, to get more people to attend webinars. These are great. A little side note here is when we collect an email through Messenger, it's usually it's exactly the email they use for Facebook most of the time. Sometimes people will type it in, but this lends to a much lower bounce rate. We actually tested this. If you go traffic to a landing page versus traffic to Messenger, the traffic to a landing page has double the bounce rate, which is still low, but we have double the bounce rate on a landing page than we do in Messenger, because it's just easier to only have to type your email versus having to type your name and email. People don't rush it as much, and it starts off by being pre-populated. So we're getting a good email address, which is cool. Another really cool side note about this, when you're in Messenger and you grab somebody's email from their Messenger account, you are significantly more likely to be getting an email address that they actually check more often. I found this to be crazy. People consistently use an email address. Like I found this across running thousands and tens of thousands in ads. People have emailed me afterwards and saying, hey, I signed up using an email that I don't use for marketing stuff. Like it's their personal email, right? I think that's really cool because now the reminders are actually going to get them in personal email, but that means you've also got to be smart. So now we've got them in email. We've obviously got them in Messenger, which is awesome. We'll be able to do some cool stuff with that, and I'll just write a little SM foreshadowing. And then we also have SMS, and that's cool because we can do reminders for the webinar through SMS. Again, just sending them over to the landing page if we have to. And that separates our environments, right? Text messaging can kind of be more about that. And then Messenger is sort of more rich media, sort of more content related. But now you've got all these environments. Now I want to explain something, okay? So let's say you get somebody to attend the webinar. This is where Messenger gets really, really powerful. Everybody who signed up is in Messenger now, right? You have a conversation with them in Messenger. That conversation exists because it started in Messenger, right? So now we'll say they end up on the webinar. From the webinar, they go to your purchase page, right? Now, you have a pixel on that purchase page, right? You have a pixel. You're creating an audience on Facebook, right? So when you create this audience on Facebook, I'm just going to write audience. That then allows us to run a new ad to that audience. Now here's where things get really cool. Let's say when somebody visits your purchase page, they have one of two options. I'm sure you're not unfamiliar with this. They either buy or don't buy. Ooh, what do you know? Crazy, right? Well, if they don't buy, here's what's super cool. We take the audience of people that didn't buy and we run a sponsored message. Bingo. Now, this sponsored message here is one of the most high ROI ads you will ever run in your life because you can only spend so much money. So let's imagine the numbers, right? Let's say we get, 500 people to attend the webinar. We get 200 people to visit the page. 180 don't buy, right? So that means your sponsored message is only being seen by 180 people. So if it costs $15 to reach 1,000 people in Messenger, which that's about where it is, you're going to be spending $1, maybe $1.20 to reach all 180 people who have now seen your they signed up for your webinar, they've now seen your webinar, but they haven't purchased it. So now what we can do is we get to add real scarcity to this. So our sponsored message goes directly into that Messenger conversation, and we get to remind them to come back to purchase, right? So it's in Messenger, I'm going to say Messenger Scarcity. And this is the copy for one of the ads that I usually run here, which is, hey, we're holding your account, but we can only hold it for another 24 to 48 hours. Now, you can take this same philosophy and run it all the way backwards. So again, this is more advanced. So if you're watching this and you're getting this, you should be executing on this right away. And below, I will have a link where you can go grab a free account at Chatmatic, and you can put this training to use right now. So you can take it all the way back, all the way to the 500 people who registered for the webinar. You can also do an ad, right? So let's say we have another audience here. Audience. Let's say you have another audience here where now you run another ad. So first off, the people who buy, they're instantly out of this, right? So we're going to go ahead and just they're not in this marketing flow anymore. So I want you to ignore that thing. So you now have a new audience of people who signed up for your webinar, and then you can exclude anybody who actually made it to your purchase page. So now you've got 300 people who haven't seen your webinar. So now you run a sponsored message to those people saying, hey, I noticed you haven't seen the webinar. Now this is completely compliant to Facebook's terms, right? What that means for us is we can run these, and I call them micro audiences. The more micro you get, the better. So let's say you create an audience of people who sign up for your webinar, or that visit your thank you page, but that don't attend your webinar for 7 days. Well, now you can be like, hey, the webinar closes tomorrow. Real scarcity. Don't let them in after that, right? Closes down. Let's say they visit they watch your webinar and they go to the purchase page. Now you have a sponsored message 5 days later that says, hey, this deal is gone for you forever tomorrow. I can promise you'll spend like 30 cents. And if you sell something that's worthwhile, you'll make money. So yes, some people will tell you, Travis, it's more expensive to get a Messenger subscriber than it is an email. Not by much, but it does give you the ability to directly reach out to people via sponsored messaging, which now, here's what's also cool. These sponsored message ads, all of these people who, let's just say, I'm going to put everyone. Everyone that opts in to your funnel. Let's say Black Friday hits. Let's say it's Easter. Let's say you're in the e-commerce space and you're wanting to run, a webinar to sell a new product. I don't care what you're doing. Now let's say you've got 1,000 people, right? Now here's where Messenger really plays strong. Let's say 1,000 people opted in at some point to your Messenger list. You're going to run a sponsored message campaign. I would suggest no more than once a month, right? Sponsored message. Okay. That sponsored message is going to go to 1,000 people. Now, with Messenger's insane open rates of about 80%, now this is, again, with sponsored messaging, you might get more, you might get less, depending on how you use this and abuse this over time. 80%, that means 800 people are going to see your thing, and of that, you're probably going to get 200 to 400 clicks. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a really, really ridiculously high number for only having 1,000 people to reach, right? And it's because it's relevant. Usually you want to stay within the world that you've created, but you can do that once a month, 200 to 400 clicks to whatever you want. So again, you've got a new webinar, you've got, I don't know, maybe you're doing a live training, or maybe you're doing no longer doing a webinar and you're doing some sort of a sales letter and you want people to see that. You can use sponsored messaging to do this. Now, here's what's amazing. And again, I've been preaching this forever. I've known that Messenger is not going to allow broadcasting from Chatmatic or any of your other platforms for the majority of people in the space, right? They don't want the Messenger inbox to be a spam inbox. And there are some serious gurus out there, and I'm not going to name any names, but some of them are running some big companies. There are some gurus out there who are broadcasting into Messenger as if it's like never going out of style. And they're teaching people to do the same thing by their actions, and it's just ridiculous, and I hate seeing that happen. I don't broadcast. That's not where you make money in Messenger. If you notice here, none of this is a broadcast. None of this is, even close to a terms issue, right? We're either paying Facebook to send our broadcasts, or we're doing what we have to do while we have somebody in Messenger right away. Now, you can take this to the moon and you can add to this, right? You can do a bunch of different things. But remember, sponsored messaging can trigger a sequence that collects their email, that then sends that email through an automation over to a third-party platform and registers them for a new webinar. So again, you've got 1,000 people and you've got a brand new webinar. Let's say all 1,000 have already given you their email because they registered for the first webinar. Well, now you've got a new webinar next month and you're getting 200 people to register by clicking one button. You send them a sponsored message. Hey, do you want to join? They click yes. When they click yes, it says, all right, awesome. Just do me a favor, confirm, your email or whatever, however you want to do this sequence. They confirm that, boom, they're re-registered. And now you can introduce them to the idea of what the new webinar is. You can send them reminders in email. So the engagement of what you can do here is phenomenal. And I'll try to throw up some screenshots here so you guys can see. My highest campaign ever, we spent 44 cents and we made like $9,000. The ability to generate ROI with this sequence is incredible because, again, it's only going to cost you, this is what I think is amazing, right? This is only going to cost you $15. On average, right now, it costs about $15 to reach 1,000 people. So for $15, you can generate 200 to 400 clicks or registrants for your webinar. I don't know about you, but that's about the cheapest leads you'll ever get. It's way cheaper than sending an email. It's way cheaper than buying ads. So yes, this is obviously your warm audience, but some of the people didn't attend, right? And now you're actually getting people's attention. It's this exact philosophy that I use to generate multiple six figures every single year. It's what we've seen work for our users in Chatmatic. I've been using it to promote my own webinars. I've been using it to promote other people's webinars. It's amazing. The biggest thing that you want to remember with all of this is you don't want to overuse and abuse this. I see people doing sponsored messaging 4 times a week. That's stupid. It's literally just stupid. I don't even want my friends to text me 4 times a week, right? And you're not the person's friend. You're like trying to be a mentor. Don't overdo this. Use it smartly. The key, though, is you've got to get people into Messenger first. You've got to create your first sequence that's going to drive people in. And that's why I like the webinar sequence. If you guys want that, again, there's a link below. I'll also link to our template club. I'll be installing it into the template club. If you get access in the link below to our template club, I'll install a template that works like our webinar sequence, as well as a training that shows you how to actually get them registered for a webinar. And this works for just-in-time webinars. This works for GoToWebinar, EverWebinar, Demio, you name the platform. We've pretty much already done registrations to it. In fact, I have another video that I'll probably release at some point that shows how I got over 1,000 people to register for a live webinar without paying a single dollar in paid traffic. We did that all through Messenger. So Do me a favor, leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think about this. If there's something that I missed, if there's something that you want to see more of, again, leave me a comment. Hit the like button if you like this. And again, there's some links below that you guys should check out if you wanted to take a look at Chatmatic, get access to our template club, be able to start running this yourself. I can guarantee you right now that if you execute on this, again, that ROI in the long term is going to be amazing. While everybody else is sending emails and trying to stand out on Black Friday, you'll be able to be the one that actually gets their attention because you're in a platform that has less noise on it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one.